A mom screaming at me after I accidentally bump into her kid. First of all, I apologize for the bad English. I'm Dutch and 14-yo. I was doing groceries for my mom when I accidentally hit a kid who was running off the store. He was on the floor but wasn't crying. I asked if he was okay and that I was very sorry. Then his mom walks to me and pushed me while screaming, "Get away from my son." I dropped my eggs and some other stuff. I didn't know how to reply and I had no interest in a discussion. I'll never win, so I just say that I was sorry. But the mom kept on screaming of how stupid I was and that I was not paying attention to people in the store. I really wanted to walk away, but I was a little scared, so I just standed there. The mom wanted to know my name and where my mother was. I say that I was alone and told him my name. In the time, the people who work at the store came to help me and the mom and son needed to leave. The workers said what happened and I told it. They bring me new eggs. They broke. It was really weird. I never met those people. My entitled father wants me to give up one of my $300 bikes. Some backstory. About 4 years ago now. I was 14 then 18 now. My brother and I got a bike each from our parents for our birthdays. Our birthdays are 12 days apart. These bikes were $60 from Walmart and so weren't made with the best parts. I decided that I would make my bike something of a project for me to learn about fixing up bikes. I poured a lot of my own money into this bike, changing the chain, the wheels, the seat, the handlebars. I had to replace the tubes no less than 2 times for each wheel, and I learned to do it all with a little bit of help from our local bike shop. When I got stuck on something a little over 2 years ago, my brother, who never rode his own bike, decided that I could just have his as a backup if I needed. So just like with my own, I poured so much time and money into getting that bike to be just as good into my main one. All in all, I probably spent $300 on my main bike and maybe $250 on my backup. I'm extremely proud of what I was able to accomplish on them. My father has always wanted the very best of everything, even if we couldn't afford it. He couldn't just have a TV, he needed a $600 TV with Wi-Fi connection. He didn't just need a computer monitor, he needed a $250 curved monitor. This all despite the fact we are often hanging at the edge of eviction from our house. Now, before you call me a hypocrite for spending my money on the bikes, I will point out that I have my own job and used solely money I had to spare on those bikes. My father hasn't had a job since 2011. My father refuses to go to the doctors to treat his diabetes and blood pressure issues because he believes that all the doctors want to do is make him think he is more sick than he is, while draining all of his money. We actually had to fight him for 2 years to go to the doctors just so he could get disability, so we could afford groceries and pay the bills instead of just one or the other. Anyways, recently my father has gotten the idea into his head that all he needs to feel better is to start exercising again. While this isn't the worst idea in the world, he is far beyond the point where only exercise can fix his problems. The guy can't even walk in a straight line or stand for more than 20 minutes without getting lightheaded. He has been told on one of the times we had to rush him to the ER that he has gotten so bad he needs medicine to fix the damage he has done to his body. He is also dealing with kidney failure and needs weekly dialysis, which he doesn't consider in the same load as those evil doctor's visits. He is in no shape to be riding a bike, but that didn't stop him from coming to me. While I was looking over the back tire of my bike, I crashed like an idiot and the tire warped. The following conversation happened. ME equals MEMF equals MY father. MF: hey op, how close are you to fixing that bike? Me: I don't really know, I think the back tire may be warped. If so, I might need a new one. MF: well, you have 2 bikes, and so I was thinking that when you get that one fixed, maybe I could have it to ride around this summer. It would really help me feel better. Now, I have actually lent my bikes out to friends before, as we live in a small town, and honestly, you don't need a car to get from place to place, so most of us just go around on bikes in the summer to save gas. But this man was so sick he was leaning on the door frame just to talk to me. I was not about to have him riding one of my bikes and crashing it and getting himself and my bike hurt. I also knew when he crashed it, I would have to fix it right away, so no thank you. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with that. Maybe we could just get you a new $60 one from Walmart. MF. But I don't want one from there, those bikes are shit and will break so fast. Well, I don't feel comfortable with you on one of my bike. You are sick and I think you would crash it and I know you won't be able to fix it. MF. They're not even your bikes anyway, we bought them for you and your brother and he didn't want to. Surely you don't need both. Actually I do. This one needs work and I still need a way of getting around. Plus you said those bikes belonged to me and my brother and he didn't want his. So they are mine unless you want to give me the money I put into them back. MF. We bought them. They are ours. No, I spent my money on them. The only thing that is still original on that bike is the frame. I will pay you the $60 if you want and you can use it to buy your own bike. At this point my father is red in the face and starts yelling about how I am so ungrateful and how he never gets to exercise and how it's no big deal. I refuse to budge. Eventually our mom comes home and hears all this. I shit you not, he goes to my mother like a toddler who has had his toy car stolen and says that I'm refusing to let him use my bike and that it's so bullshit. My mom, as if she could read my mind, says, why don't we just get you a cheap $60 bike to ride? You only need it to ride around the neighborhood. This made him go ballistic, throwing a fit about how we all had decent bikes except him. Which isn't wrong, as my mother bought a sucked up bike she bought from the bike store when it was on sale for a charity event a few years ago. We pointed out that we both like to go trail riding and ride around town while he only wants to ride around the neighborhood. He said that it shouldn't matter, that he had a right to have a decent bike. Eventually my mother relented and offered to let him use her old bike. Although it's a really old bike and you'll never guess who is in charge of fixing it up, so he can ride it. If nothing else, I was told that once I fixed it up I won't have to do anything more. I'm only gonna change the tubes as the tires are still good enough, and I'm gonna get the chain greased instead of replaced. Entitled Mom nearly assaults me and goes after my brother for cutting in line. So, I never thought I would encounter a Karen, let alone one that was this violent. I guess when you live in a major city, this is bound to happen at some point. This is while the pandemic occurred, and I held off on sharing this story because I wanted to wait until it wasn't as traumatizing in my mind as it was back then. So for the cast, entitled Mom, my mom pounds, little brother megabyte, medium brother. Now for the context, I was shopping with mom and my little brothers. Megabyte was 11 and pounds was 6, in the hotbed for Karens, Costco. Normally I don't like shopping there, because there usually isn't much there for me to shop for. But my mom wasn't strong enough to carry the mass package of gallon waters and needed me, so I didn't have much of a choice. I looked around the store out of boredom, and I noticed that there was a larger amount of Karens than usual, or at least people with the haircut. The shopping went fine, and we made our way to the checkout line. There were a lot of people trying to check out, so naturally I wanted to find the shortest line. I see one that had a black-haired Karen cut that looked a little too, I guess, entitled, considering she was on her phone a lot and had that tone of voice that screamed, "I want to speak to your manager." Now, I was not in her line, but I noticed that she actually left her place in line, like placed her cart in the line and abandoned it for a couple of minutes. And since no one was behind her and she was second from the front, while I was still fourth in line, I took advantage and took her spot in line. There was still a few minutes of waiting and she was not back at all, so I went to check out my mom's items. Now my mom forgot to pick up something and my megabyte went to the food place to get ice cream, meaning I was alone with pounds. Now M returns. Excuse me? She already sounded annoyed. I had headphones on, so I tried to ignore her. Hello. I turned around and took the headphones off. Me, yes. I know you were not in front of me. Me, I mean you left your cart out for like 5 minutes-ish. So I mean you can't just reserve a spot. Bullshit, I can't. I had to pick up some grapes that I forgot. For reference, the grapes were literally the farthest away from the checkout line you could get. Me, not my problem. Should just left the line. She was starting to fume now, and my pound started to hold my hand, trying to comfort me like the sweet boy he is. You're just a selfish dad trying to teach your son bad lessons. For reference, I was 22, and I look much older, so I get confused for his dad sometimes. Me, first of all, that's my brother. Second, oh no, that's your son. Don't try to hide it. You had premarital sex with some slut, and you took her baby like my hubby took my angel. I just gave her a look of what the fuck are you on about? I saw some people looking our way, and I heard one onlooker say, "Back off him, lady." She just snapped. You did not just say that to me. This pig here is teaching his son to be a pig himself. Now I admit, I have a massive history of anger problems, so when I heard that, I snapped and yelled out a lot of things that would make Samuel L. Jackson think I was saying too much. I don't remember it all, but there were a lot of F-bombs for sure. We both exchanged a war of words before eventually she slapped on the face. I was so ready to hit her, but I restrained myself because my pounds was starting to cry. I loved him, and I didn't want to show him any violent behavior. She saw that my fists were curled up though and said, "Oh, you gonna hit me? Do it, I dare you. You don't deserve this child." I was fuming, and by now the megabyte came back with his ice cream. He was fully ready to attack to defend pounds. I told him to back off, and told him to find mom. Then the M reached over, and tried to grab my LB's arm, like she was trying to take him away. She did grab him, and I pushed her away to defend him. I grabbed my brother, and prepared for what was likely an onslaught of scratches before some of the bystanders intervened and dragged her away. I heard her say a lot of slurs against men, but I can't recall all of them as I was just trying to comfort my brother. Thankfully, my mom finally returned with my megabyte, and she bolted to see if Pounds was okay. He was crying, and on close inspection he had a deep gash from her nails digging into him. Security quickly arrived soon after, and restrained the woman until the cops arrived about 10 minutes later or so. While we waited for the police, the manager showed up, and checked to see if we were okay. He told an employee to grab some bandages, and told us that he was deeply apologetic about what happened out there. He said that he couldn't provide much to compensate, but at least gave us a 50% discount on our groceries. When the cops arrived, we were asked if we wanted to press charges, and while I wanted to say no, my mom chimed in instead and said yes. I didn't really think we would want to go through the legal system, but I suppose the mother/son bond can go really deep. For now, we are unsure of when the court date is, and thankfully my brother's arm has gotten better since then. All this over taking a place in line when you leave for 5 minutes and thinking it's reserving your spot.